If you've been applying to nursing jobs and not getting the response you expected, your resume may be part of the problem, even if you have strong experience or clinical skills. Here at Charted Nurse, we focus on practical nursing career guidance, resume support, and helping nurses navigate career transitions with more clarity and confidence. In this video, we're going through 10 common nurse resume mistakes that can quietly hurt your chances of getting interviews, along with practical ways to improve them. Whether you're a new grad nurse or already experienced, small changes in clarity, structure, and relevance can make a major difference in how your resume comes across. But before we get into the specific mistakes, it helps to understand the bigger issue that affects a lot of nursing resumes overall. A common issue with nursing resumes is that they can start to sound very similar, especially when people rely heavily on generic resume templates or broad wording. Resumes are often reviewed quickly during the hiring process, so when a resume feels too broad, too generic, or difficult to scan, important strengths and experience can easily get missed. That does not mean you are unqualified. In many cases, it simply means your experience is not being communicated clearly enough on paper. Small changes in structure, wording, and relevance can make a major difference in how your resume comes across. Let's go into the first mistake. One of the most common resume mistakes nurses make is using the exact same resume for every application. The challenge is that different nursing roles often prioritize different skills, experiences, and keywords. An ICU position, outpatient clinic, pediatric floor, and med-surg unit may all involve nursing care, but employers are often looking for different strengths depending on the role. That does not mean you need to completely rewrite your resume every single time. Small adjustments can make a big difference. Updating your professional summary, emphasizing the most relevant clinical experience, and naturally aligning your wording with the job posting can help your resume feel much more connected to the role you actually want. The goal is not to change your experience, it is to present the parts of your experience that are most relevant for that opportunity. The next mistake happens near the very top of the resume. Your professional summary sits near the top of your resume, so it plays a big role in shaping the first impression of your application. A common mistake is relying too heavily on broad phrases like hardworking nurse, strong communicator, or compassionate healthcare professional. Those qualities may absolutely be true, but the challenge is that they are so general, they can start to sound interchangeable from one resume to another. A stronger summary usually feels more grounded in your actual experience level, practice setting, or career direction. For example, a new grad nurse might highlight clinical readiness, patient-centered care, or relevant rotation experience, while a more experienced nurse may focus on leadership, specialized care environments, collaboration, or years of practice in a certain setting. The goal is not to sound impressive with buzzwords, it is to help someone quickly understand who you are as a nurse and what kind of role you may be a strong fit for. The next mistake has less to do with what you say, and more to do with how clearly you explain your experience. Another common resume mistake is listing responsibilities without giving enough clinical context around them. Many nursing resumes include task-based bullet points like administered medications, monitored patients, or documented care. Those responsibilities are important, but on their own, they do not always give a clear picture of the environment, patient population, or level of care involved. Adding more context helps employers better understand the kind of experience you actually have. That might include the type of unit you worked on, the pace of the environment, the number of patients you typically managed, the charting systems you used, or the kinds of conditions and treatments you regularly encountered. Even small details can make your experience feel more specific and easier to visualize. Instead of only describing tasks, try helping the employer understand where, how, and in what setting those tasks were performed. The next mistake involves something that many nurses hear about but often feel unsure how to approach: resume keywords. Another common issue is leaving out important nursing keywords that match the role you're applying for. Many employers use applicant tracking systems to help organize applications before a recruiter ever reviews them. That does not mean you should overload your resume with buzzwords or copy the job posting word for word. Instead, focus on naturally including nursing language that reflects your actual experience. That might include certifications, charting systems, clinical skills, specialties, patient care tasks, or unit-specific terminology tied to the role. A helpful starting point is reviewing the job posting and paying attention to the words or themes that appear repeatedly. If those terms genuinely fit your background, weaving them naturally into your resume can help your application feel more aligned. The next mistake has less to do with wording and more to do with readability. Even a strong nursing resume can lose impact if the formatting feels crowded or difficult to scan. A common mistake is trying to fit too much onto the page, using small fonts, long paragraphs, or inconsistent spacing. Hiring teams often review resumes quickly, so if important information is buried in dense text, strong qualifications can easily get missed. In most cases, simple and clean works better than overly designed. Clear headings, readable bullet points, consistent formatting, and enough white space can make a resume feel much easier to review. The next mistake is closely related and happens when too much information is included overall. Another common mistake is trying to include too much information on a resume. It can feel safer to add everything, especially when you want to show that you're capable, but too much detail can actually make the strongest parts harder to notice. Older roles, unrelated experience, or extra information that does not support the position you want right now can take attention away from the qualifications that matter most. A strong resume is not meant to tell your entire story. It is meant to highlight the most relevant parts of your experience for that specific opportunity. The next mistake involves something employers should be able to find immediately: your licenses and certifications. For nurses, licenses and certifications are not small details. They are core qualifications. Employers should be able to quickly spot credentials like RN, BLS, ACLS, or PALS without searching through the resume. Keeping this information clearly labeled and easy to scan can make your resume feel much more organized and professional. The next mistake involves language that sounds too broad or generic. A lot of nursing resumes rely on broad phrases like hardworking, team player, or great communicator. Those qualities may absolutely be true, but they are also very general and can start to sound interchangeable from one resume to another. Instead of relying too heavily on vague descriptions, try grounding your experience in more specific details, like the unit you worked on, the patient population, the pace of the environment, or the systems and tools you used regularly. Specific details help employers picture your experience more clearly. The next mistake is small, but it can still affect how polished a resume feels. Small resume mistakes happen to almost everyone, especially when you have been reviewing the same document for a long time. Typos, inconsistent formatting, incorrect dates, or repeated words can make a resume feel more rushed than polished. Taking a little extra time to proofread carefully, read your resume out loud, or step away and review it later with fresh eyes can make a surprisingly big difference. The final mistake has to do with adjusting your resume for your level of experience. A new grad nurse and an experienced nurse should not present themselves in exactly the same way on paper. New grad resumes may focus more on clinical rotations, certifications, and academic experience, while experienced nurses often emphasize leadership, specialty care, and professional growth. When your resume matches your career stage, it feels more natural, more relevant, and easier for employers to understand quickly. The good news is that most nursing resume mistakes are completely fixable. Your resume does not need to be perfect. It just needs to clearly communicate your experience, strengths, and readiness for the role you want. Small improvements in clarity, structure, and relevance can make a major difference in how your resume comes across. If this video helped you, subscribe for more practical nursing career guidance, resume support, and transition advice. You can also find additional resources, articles, and tools at chartednurse.com. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next video.